Hello beautiful people, good morning, afternoon or evening wherever you are. You're welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Winifred. In today's tutorial we are going to be learning how to make this mermaid skirt with cut together train and a slit at the front. If this is what you would like to learn, keep on watching, like my videos, share with your family and friends, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out anytime I upload a new video. So without too much talking, let's get to the honey of the video. Let's go. I love you. Hey beauty, welcome to my channel. I am using this lace fabric for this project and it's about 3 yards. So to know what to fold for your front, you are going to divide your hip by 4 and you are going to multiply that by 2. Hip divided by 4 plus the allowance that you want, and then you're going to multiply it by 2. That is what you are going to fold. This is because of the A-line part. We want it to be really wide. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to mark out my length, and because this is going to be having a band, I took out 2 inches from the length and then I just measured the length. So I raised my tape by 2 inches. I started my measurement from the 2-inch mark and then I took my skirt length plus my 1-inch allowance. So that is what I am marking there. So I'm trying to create a straight line. So after doing that, on that point I'm going to mark my waist divided by 4 plus 2 inches allowance, and then I went down by 8 inches. That will be for my hip line. So don't forget that we are deducting 2 inches from the top because we are going to be adding a band to that. So I measured out my 8 inches for the hip line, and then on that point I'm going to take my hip measurement. So I'm just trying to mark it out with my ruler so that you can see what I'm doing clearly. So I'm going to take out my hip divided by 4. After marking my waist divided by 4 plus 2 inches, the next thing is to divide my hip into 4. Whatever I have there, I am going to add 2 inches for seam allowance. So my hip divided by 4 plus 2 inches seam allowance is what I am going to be marking right now on the hip line. So once I'm done doing that, I'm going to connect the 2 points together from my waist to my hip, and then whatever I have on the hip, I'm going to take note of that. You can write it down if you want. So taking my 2 inches upward, I am going to measure my knee line. So the knee line that I measured is about 2 inches above my client's knee, the original knee of the client. You are just going to go up by about 2 inches, and that will be your knee line for this particular dress. You can also go higher if you want, but it's okay like so. So what you have on your knee line is you are going to deduct whatever you have on your hip. You are going to deduct from 1 inch or 1.5 inch or 2 inches. I used 1.5 inches because I didn't want it to be too tight, and from that point you are just going to slant it to the A-line point, and then you are going to cut it out, which is what I'm doing now. I'm just going ahead to hold it with pins because I do not want it to shift. So this is it. Now let me re-explain what I did. I took out 2 inches from the upper part and then I marked out my length. That 2 inches is for my band I took out. Then I measured my hip line and my knee line. So now taking the 2 inches from that point, I measured my hip line. So from the top upper part, I measured my waist divided by 4 plus 2 inches, and on the hip line, my hip divided by 4 plus 2 inches, and on that knee line, I removed 1.5 inches for what I have on the hip line, and on the M line, I multiplied my hip divided by 4 times 2. That is what I have on the M line. So now let's work on the back. I have folded my fabric into 2. And from the edge, I am just going to mark out 10 inches all the way down. For the front panel, we didn't use the whole length of the lace, but for the back, we are going to be using the whole length of the lace because we are cutting a cut together tail. You are going to understand as time goes on. So after marking out 10 inches from the top to down of the lace, I'm going to take my front panel and place it on top of it like so, leaving enough space at the down part to work with. Just use the amount of space that you have left. If this was not a lace fabric, I would have done a longer length, but I am working with my lace fabrics and I'm just going to be using what I have. I have about 10.5 inches left at the down part after placing my front on it, and that is what I am going to be using. So the next step I'm going to be taking is to identify my knee point. So that is where I'm just connecting it with a ruler. I'm using my front panel as a guide and I'm just connecting it with a ruler. So from that knee point, I am going to mark my zip allowance of 1.5 inches, which is what you are seeing me do right now. So I'm going to mark 1.5 inches all the way up, and then at that knee line I am going to mark 1 inch. This is because we want it to have a kind of curve at the back. So on the knee line you mark 1 inch, and from that 1 inch mark you're just going to slant it to the edge of the fabric, as you can see me do, and then you are going to cut it out. So I'm cutting it out right now up to the 1 inch on my knee line, and then the 1.5 inches that I have for my zip allowance. I hope you understand. It's only on the knee points that I have 1 inch. The rest is 1.5 inches zip allowance. So what I'm doing now is I'm cutting the sides just exactly as I have it on the front panel, just tracing it out like that. It's that simple. And then for the down part, we are going to be curving it out. It's not going to be like this. It's going to be looking funny. So on the edge of the front panel, I went up by 1.5 inches, and then I'm just going to curve it out to meet with the back like so. There are other ways that you can do this to make your lace edge show, but because this is a beginner's guide, so I'm just trying to make it as simple as possible. So after you've slanted it like that, you are going to cut out your lace edge and then you stitch it back neatly. All right, so that everywhere is looking neat and clean. So we are done cutting now, and this is how it looks like. The next thing we are going to be doing is to cut out our lining. But before then, the front has a slit and we are going to be working on the slit now. Because I want my slit to be on the left side, I'm going to flip it over like so, and then I am going to mark out where I want my slit to stop. I measured this on my client's body. You can also do the same if you want, but if you did not measure it on your client's body, what you are going to do is that on the knee line, you are just, after getting your knee line, that curved part that went inside, that's the knee line, you are just going to go up by 2 inches, and that will serve as where your slit is going to stop. You can do more depending on what your client wants. Then after that, at the edge of the front, I'm just going to mark my bust span measurement divided by 2 plus ½ inch. My bust span measurement for this client was 8 inches. Divided by 2 is 4 inches. I added ½ inch to that, which made it 4.5 inches, and that is what I traced all the way down. And then I am going to be cutting it out now. Don't forget that you are cutting one part of the front. Don't go and make a mistake and cut both sides of the front too. When you are cutting just one side of the front, because that is where the slit is going to be. All right, so once we are done cutting, the next step is to cut out our lining now. So what you are going to be doing is that you are going to place your fabric on it and just cut out the lining as this. I'm just trying to show you how the slit is. This is how it's going to be looking like, and as you can see, it's on the left side. So I've cut out the lining for the back, and this is how it looks. I just cut it exactly as my length is. You can make it shorter depending on your client's preference, but my client wanted a full lining, and that is what I am doing now. So I just cut it fully up to where the lace edge is stops. So by the time we hem the lining, it will be shorter. It will leave the lace edge and everything will just be full and clean and neat. All right, so I'm just cutting the front lining so that you can know how to cut the front lining. You are not separating anything, just cut it as it is when you are done sewing that you will now cut it through and the slit will now show and everything. So when you are joining your lining, you join the wrong side of the lining to the right side of the lace fabric. Don't make that mistake. If you join right side to right side, the shiny part of the doll face will be at the back and you will not love it. So you place the wrong side of the doll face on the right side of the line. So by the time you turn it inside out, the right side is going to be facing the inner part just as you want it. So before you stitch it, you are going to fold your lining of about 1 inch or a quarter, or 1¼ inch. All right, just fold it in and then you stitch it. So I've gone ahead to stitch the back part. So let me flip it over now. So by the time I flipped it over, see that the knit part of the lining, the shiny part, is facing the lace, and it makes it look more beautiful. So don't make that mistake. So now this is the front part. I just went ahead and pinned it, and then I stitched it as it is. So this is the slit part, so I'm just going to be cutting it through now. And then I am going to be placing notches all around it so that it can sit clean and fresh by the time I turn it inside out. And as you can see, after folding my lining, see that it has left the lace edge part, so it's already full and is no more at the lace edge part. So I'm just placing notches on the slit area now before turning it inside out, which is how it looks now, sitting all clean. And the other part that we curved earlier, I'm going to be sewing my lace edge to it like so, just as I have done to this other side of the back. So once all of that is done, the next thing is to iron everything clean, iron it neatly, and this is how it looks after ironing. See, everything is already coming together beautifully. After ironing, the next step is to fixing your darts, and to do that you are going to be using your bust span measurement divided by 2 plus ½ inch seam allowance. So that is what I am marking for the width of my dart, and the dart leg is 5 inches in length. Alright, so you are going to fold it like this, mark out ½ inch and just slant it like so, just like we saw our darts. So this is the front. See the slit, see how clean and fresh it looks. So you are going to fold your front part into 2 like so, and then you are going to measure your dart width of 4.5 inches and the dart leg of 5 inches on both sides of the front pattern. Remember that the front pattern is going to be having the double side, while the back you are going to do the same thing on the other side of the back too. So I've gone ahead to fix my dart, and this is what we have. See, it makes the skirt even look more detailed. So I'm just trying to confirm what I have on my waistline, which is accurate. So now this is the back part. You are going to place it right side facing right side, and then you are going to align the zip area together. So I'm using this long zip. I'm not going to be using everything, but I just bought it because I wanted to accommodate the hip part very well. So I took the 2 inches upwards and I measured out how long I wanted my zip to, where I wanted it to stop. So from that point, I'm just going to stitch 1 inch, and when I get to the knee point, I'm going to reduce it to ½ inch, and I'm going to stitch it all the way down, which I have done right now. So what you're going to do next is to open it up and just iron this point, iron it open like this. It's going to make your dress look very beautiful. So the next thing I'm doing is to pin my zip area. We are going to be attaching the front and back piece together now. That is the next step. So I'm pinning my zip area down like this, and once I'm done, I'm going to open it up and bring my front part, place it on top of each other, right side facing right side, and then I am going to stitch it with whatever allowance that I have. So I'm going to stitch it with the allowance from that point, and when I get to the knee line, I'm just going to make it more tiny. All right, make sure that you align your front and back so that it can be accurate on the side. Even though the back is bigger than the front, don't worry, just align it and make sure that it's sitting very well. So the next thing I'm going to do is to measure out what I have on my waistline, and that is what we are going to be using to cut out my band. So I've measured it and I cut out a band width of 5 inches and the length of whatever you measure on your waistline. So I've cut out my lining also, and I'm going to sew it all the way around. So what I'm doing now is that I'm going to stitch my band from the wrong side like so. I want to attach elastic on the band area because I want it to be firm for my client. I don't want it to be sagging. So you are going to mark out the side, measure out the side and mark 6 inches on both sides of that side. Then you are going to take your elastic, 1 inch elastic of 6 inches in length. You are going to measure out the middle of that band. My band is 5 inches, so the middle is 2.5 inches. You are going to stitch it on one side, move it to the other 6-inch part, and then you are going to stitch it down. Do that on the other side of the skirt. Mark out the side, measure out 6 inches on both sides, and then mark out the midpoint of the band and place your 6-inch elastic on it. Place it, stitch it on one side, move it to the other side and stitch. So I've gone ahead to do that neatly, and now we are going to close our band. So I'm just going to close it with 1/2 inch like so, and then I'm going to be pulling it as I stitch. Once I'm done, I'll fix my zipper, and the next thing you're going to be seeing is the final look. So I've gone ahead to press it, and this is how neat and fresh it is looking. I hope this was helpful. If it was, tell me in the comment section down below. Till I see you in the next video, I love you and I care. Bye.